Hi, my name is Olajide Olagunju, and I'm the author of the book, How to Resolve a Conflict, which I'd like to share with you on the screen. This book, How to Resolve a Conflict, is our textbook for this lecture series that you just joined. This is How to Resolve a Conflict, lecture 39. I welcome you. As usual, we would read from the book and then we'll have a discussion. Yesterday, we ended discussion on the 10-step mediation, which is one of my two contributions to the process of effective, amicable conflict resolution. And today, we want to move on to another topic titled The Mediator. We want to talk about the person of the mediator. That's chapter 7 in the book, How to Resolve a Conflict. So please let's read and then have a discussion around the reading. The mediator. It begins with a quote. An agent of reality, the mediator makes each party think through its demands, priorities, and views, and deal with the other party's arguments. Unquote. I repeat, quote, an agent of reality, the mediator makes each party think through its demands, priorities, and views, and deal with the other party's arguments. Unquote. That was quoted from the American Arbitration Association, AAA. And I think that American Arbitration Association perspective of the person of the mediator is a very rich one. First, they call the mediator an agent of reality. You recall that under the 10-step mediation, we spoke about a reality test. The mediator helps parties test the reality of their situation, especially the realizableness of options that they come up with. So the mediator is truly a strong agent of reality. The AAA also calls the mediator, also says the mediator makes each party think through its demands. That's also true. What a party is asking for, what are the foundations? Is it sustainable? Any of us can ask demand for anything. It is the duty of the mediator to make us face those demands squarely and ask ourselves, is this possible? Is this achievable? So the mediator makes us think through our demands, think through our priorities, think through our views as parties. And the mediator also helps us deal with the other party's arguments. It's easier to understand our own perspective. It is the duty of the mediator to make us understand the other party's perspective, because it takes two to tango. If there's a conflict, that means there must be at least two parties. And if you want to resolve the conflict amicably, there must be a way and means of looking at each other's views and perspectives and dealing with them, addressing them. So that's the quote from the American Arbitration Association. By way of introduction in this chapter, um, I read, parties come to the mediator for the purpose of resolving their conflict through the intervention of a coercive third party. The natural and preeminent thing for the mediator to do is to study the conflict, a process sometimes tied to studying the parties in order to dig out the root of the conflict. The mediator begins this task from the moment the parties present their views to the end of the caucus, i.e., private sessions uh, and mediation. That is, I believe, pretty straightforward. Uh, when we have a conflict and a mediator intervenes, um, it is because we have accepted the third party and the mediator to help us sort through and sort out our differences, to make us, to help us understand what is it that is causing disaffection and conflict between us. Um, but the key word here is that the this third party called mediator is non-coercive. He or she does not impose his or her wishes on us, parties. So that is made very clear. We must understand that a mediator does not have coercive powers. He is not an arbitrator. He is not a judge. He's a mediator, a facilitator. And then I read also that the natural and preeminent thing for the mediator to do is to study the conflict. That's pretty straightforward. You know, it is in studying the conflict that we understand how to resolve it. So that's very, very basic. You must understand as a mediator the conflict you are engaged, you've been engaged to help resolve. I read that it is a process sometimes tied to studying the parties. I think it is true, especially to understand the relationships between the parties and uh, if that is the case, what has been the way they related in the past. And we do this as mediators to dig out the root of the conflict. As I said in, I believe, the last lecture, we have to get to the root of the conflict to be able to resolve it holistically. And it's the mediator that helps parties do that, to look at the conflict squarely and basically attitudes. Where is it coming from? What is driving it? So that's part of the business of the mediator. The mediator begins this task from the moment the parties present their views to the end of the caucus at its private sessions and the mediation. So that's it. Once you take up a case, you have to begin to dig into it without making people feel uncomfortable. I guess that's why we study the 10-step mediation earlier on. So if you master this 10-step mediation, then you're able to get to the root of the conflict, able to understand the details of it without being without offending anybody. Let me read a little bit more and then we can discuss before we end to this lectures. The mediator must exhibit patience, must be attentive, and must have a quick mind in order to be able to understand each party's perspective, to induce each party to do the same, and to help them see that their best interest individually lies in finding options for settlement. So, number one, the mediator is a patient person. A patient person. An attentive person. These two very important. Patient, attentive, quick-minded. You be able to see quickly. To be able to understand each party's perspective As I had mentioned before, when parties are talking, a mediator must hear them at several levels, must hear them beyond what the actual thing they are saying. Because when parties are speaking, especially when the other party is there, they may not be able to speak openly, to speak fully, to express themselves fully. And so the mediator must be have a quick mind to be able to hear what they seem to be keeping quiet on. Now, of course, the mediator doesn't say, "Oh, that's what they said." In caucus, in private meetings with each party, he asks questions. This is what I see here. Is that what you are saying? At that point, at that meeting, because it's private, it's just the party and the mediator, the party will be more open and will be able to say, "Oh yes, that's what I was trying to say." You know, so the mediator must understand the party's perspective, so as to induce each of the parties to do the same. Um, Parties watch the way we conduct mediation. And so if we come uh, doing everything to understand the party speaking to us, we are teaching the other party listening to listen the way we do, to understand the way we do. And when mediators do that, we are helping them to see what their best interest individually. We help them to see that their best interest individually lies in finding options for settlement. So when we help parties hear one another fully, because they are coming from a relationship, the ability to now, with the help of the mediator, understand what the other side is saying promotes the possibility of generating options for an amicable settlement. Because at that point, the mediator, the mediators, or the mediator, the particular mediator in particular dispute, has put the parties in a frame of mind to talk to one another, to end antagonism, to begin to look at more important things, which is understanding where the conflict is coming from, and then trying to fashion out way to deal with it effectively. I think I'd like to stop here to this lecture. What is we are discussing now is the person of the mediator. And so this discussion is very important because the mediator is the pivot. The mediator determines how the process goes, the conflict resolution process goes. And so every mediator must understand the personality of the mediator, or what should be the personality of the mediator. That's what we're doing in this chapter. Tomorrow, lecture 40 will continue. And before you go, please remember to please subscribe to this channel, and then I'll be very happy if you find time to read the book that we are using for this lecture, which is titled How to Resolve a Conflict, the same title as the lecture. Also, very importantly, I'm very happy if you continue to practice the skills we've been learning. We've had 39 lectures with all the skills you've been picking up. Begin to, if you are not doing that already, apply them to real conflict in your life, in your business, in your government, wherever you are found. And it's practice, as I said, that makes it perfect. I thank you, and I will see you in tomorrow's lecture.